Hey, if you are trying to do keyword research for your website, for your SEO, this is the best way to do it right now using any type of AI agent that you use, whether it's Claude Code, OpenClaw, Hermes, whatever. This is the best way to do it. You have three tiers: a free tier and two paid tiers that you can optionally use, and it's basically just a big prompt with some code examples. So basically, when you download this open source script, the keyword research SEO keyword research agent, you can install it, and it will tell you everything that you need to know. Basically, your agent is instructed to guide you and show you all of the different tiers and solutions that you have for doing keyword research as best as possible from whichever agent you like to use. So the first thing you want to do is copy the GitHub repo that you have in the description, or if it's not there yet, just comment repo and I'll send it over. Um, Copy it, give it to your agent, and it will do the rest for you. Basically, it's going to ask you for some input, but you can push it a little bit if you want. Um, you can say, Distribb.io is my website. You can figure out the rest. And yes, in my particular case, I already have the API keys that it's recommended, because when I told it here on the example, I'm using Claude Code, the desktop app, and depending on what you're using, you will be capable to use one or more of the different tiers. Probably on the web browser, you'll only be able to use the free tier if you're using Cloud Code or ChatGPT or any web browser native chatbot. But if you are using the desktop app or your own agent running on a code base and a flexible code base like OpenClaw, you can use either of the other two options, and it will instruct you how to get both your Distribb API key or Ahrefs API keys, respectively. And it can also connect to your Google Search Console, which would basically give it access to all of your existing ranking data, so it doesn't give you repeated information. It finds like gap opportunities. It compares to your competitors. It's it's a complete package for keyword research. So let's give it a run right here. And I'm going to always allow for this particular project. I'm working on the code tab inside Cloud Code, um, and I recommend you do that there. Otherwise, it's probably going to default to the free tier, which, by the way, uses PyTrends. So it's going to have to create a Python file, but you don't have to worry about that if you're not a technical person. That's your agent's job. Oh, how magnificent times we live in, huh? And or if you are picky with your code, and just ask it to create um, a mirror file in whatever language that you want to work on, and I guarantee it's going to work. Uh, I recommend, if you have any paid plans, I recommend using um, Opus 4.6 at least for your very first planning message, and then you can switch to the uh, cheaper models like maybe Sonnet or even Haiku, or if you're working on ChatGPT, that would be, the smaller chat, the smaller models. Or if you don't care, just go Opus at all times. And I'm pretty sure this is going to get old pretty quick. So if you're watching in the future, say next week, and there's a new model, well, hopefully it's compatible. All right, so allow for all sessions. So this is going to take a while of allowing different calls that it's going to want to use. One thing that you need to know when you are trying to do some research to decide how to rank on LLMs and chatbots is that when you ask these models a question that leads to a purchase, it's always going to use what we call high by intent keywords. Like in this case, I asked to find the best social media schedulers for 2026, and it gave me straight up the answers without necessarily citing where it's coming from. It's just giving me, in some cases where here it did happen to tell me, um, but it gives me the answer straight away. Or in other cases, um, for example, with ChatGPT, it might give you a third party. Like in this case, Zapier is recommending Buffer and Hootsuite. And these other guys, Advice, has a listicle type article that's recommending later, right? So if you check it out, we see that they themselves are not social media software, but they have a list of social media softwares right here. So this would be possibly a keyword where I would like to be mentioned. So I could reach out to these guys and ask them to mention me, which would also give me a backlink. And I have another video on doing that exactly, which you can find somewhere here. I'll try to add the card on YouTube, and you can also use that. So after what it seems like forever, the agent finished. It installed all the dependencies that it needed to run Distribb and Ahrefs. It asked me for my keys, which I already happen to have, and it did three analysis. One including the free tier, which is using Google's autocomplete and Pi trends. The second one's using Distrib and Ahrefs, right? So it created three dashboards. This one's using the free tier. Finds 60 total keywords, 35 by intent, 12 compare intent, 13 learn intent, and 4 content clusters. Um, there's some keywords that aren't super targeted towards what we do. On the second attempt using free tier as well, it found much better keywords because it recognized it what I just showed you of some location based keywords that aren't ideal for our staffs, and it did it again. This time much better. AI content writer, data annotation. Like this is clearly coming from Google autocomplete or Google's API, because there's a lot of keywords with typos out there, and it's probably one of those. I can filter by the intent. Now, this one does not have the search volume. So on a final attempt, it used Distribb's API to also include the search volume. So it was able to score the keywords a lot better because it had volume and keyword difficulty, which is determined by the amount of backlinks that the top 10 websites for any given search term have. So 0 means that you technically don't need any backlinks to rank for that particular keyword. You can filter, you can download as a CSV. It gives you your content clusters that you should be focusing on when writing, like categories and subtopics, and it gives you a potential content calendar. And then I could ask it to, if it's connected to Distrib, you can just trigger it, and it will start writing and planning all of those articles. You can ask it to do a full SEO audit report like this one. It will scan your entire backlink profile, your competitor's backlink profile, and then it will give you opportunity gaps and recommendations. Uh, and then the most powerful feature that the Distrib agent will have is that you'll have access to the backlinks exchange, where all the users essentially collaborate. When relevant, when someone's writing an article that might be relevant to one of your articles, they can choose to link to yours and gives them a credit. And then when you link out, it gives you a credit. You can see everything there is with your exchange strategy, uh, how it aims to meet or beat your competitors. It sets the link strategy that it's going to proceed. Like here, it created a listicle placements, um, because chatbots love to find listicles out there, like you saw on the beginning of the video, and editorial links, which are regular contextual links inside articles. It shows you the planned listicles of other users who are about to write a listicle where you will include it, unless there's like a last minute change. It explains how the exchange works, and it allows you to auto configure your link strategy, and you can block any competitors or domains that you never want to link out to. Now you have a monthly progress goals and rewards, and you can edit the cluster you belong to, essentially. Um, and you could operate everything with your Claude Code. Now, if you only use the skill and the prompt for using the free tier, which is fine, um, you can then download any data from your favorite keywords analytics tool, SEMrush, Ahrefs, whatever, and upload the CSV here, and try to find more opportunities based on your backlinks. And the more data you can give it, the better. Through Distribb, we just enabled access to your Google Search Console, so there's no keyword cannibalization when the agent tries to find keyword opportunities. You don't want it to recommend keywords you're already ranking for. Um, or it can find opportunities to optimize your articles uh, based on what it's seeing on Google Search Console. Like maybe you have an article that's ranking high for a certain keyword, but that article itself is not necessarily properly optimized for that specific keyword. So it would spot that opportunity and tell you, hey, you should change the heading over here, or you should change the image tags to include these keywords, and maybe you should put 3 or 4 more long tail keywords. And that's about it. You connect it to as many integrations as you can, give it as much data as you can, and it will give you a professional top level keyword research guarantee. Um, it's really fun to do. It takes a while to set up. Like I said, it took like 15 minutes for me. um, but we'll optimize the prompt to make it faster. The slower part is getting your API keys. If you want to use the paid options, either Ahrefs or Distrib or both. Um, but after that, everything's installed in your folder, and you can expand and give it more skills. And there you have it, guys. If you want to try out the Distrib agentic mode, I'll drop a link below and test the skill. Recommend any prompt improvements. I would love to update the skill with any of anyone's recommendations. So subscribe, like, the deal. Thanks.